Hey Mena Warriors, welcome to my channel where I share weekly videos with you all about menopause, primarily natural menopause. I have nothing against HRT, I just don't take it myself, so can't talk about it with any information really. Today I'm talking about weight gain in perimenopause, why it happens, and a few things that I really recommend you start to focus on before you start to do the obvious things that you might think, oh, this is what I need to do. So firstly, it is really, really common. I would say 99% of the women that I deal with in my body confidence group have all got, particularly around the middle, weight gain issues. And that is what actually got me on this course of finding a solution. Yeah, I don't have the smaller waist that I had when I was 18 years old, but having had two very large babies and I'm about to turn 53, it's not bad. Plus, I do enjoy my drink and I do enjoy plentiful eating. So it's about finding balance that allows you a lifestyle that's still fun, that still allows you treats, still allows you to be a little bit reckless from time to time. We all need a little bit of reckless, and so you're not really feeling like you're living within this sort of like defined, organized chicken and broccoli box, because that would just be like really, really boring and it's not sustainable. So there are some common sense things that you need to take into account as well, but on the large part, what I want to share with you is pretty simple stuff. So most people do tend to gain weight around the middle. The reason for that is as we go through the menopause, so as our sex hormones are falling, our adrenal glands tend to take up the job of the ovaries. So ovaries go into retirement. We all have about 400 eggs, and once we run out of those eggs, then obviously our ovaries are no longer much use. And so our adrenal glands are actually designed to back up the job of the ovaries. Well, because a lot of us have adrenal glands that are quite tired, it's a busy time of life. Our hormones are all over the shop. Well, that is a stress for the body. And obviously our adrenal glands are there to try and help us manage stress more effectively. And it's really hard when your hormones are swinging everywhere. You're probably sleeping less because that's another added stress. You may be having increased cravings for sweet stuff. That's a stress. You might be having lifestyle changes. Kids have left home, you're getting used to being an empty nester. I promise you it does get better as time goes on. And you may be having changes in your significant relationship. You might be having problems with elderly or health issues with elderly parents. You may have lost your parents. And it's one of those ages. I think midlife is when the nasties come up and bite you in the bum. So it might even be that you're losing some of your closer friends. And it can be hard, and that all increases our stress and how we show up in life. It knocks on our energy levels, and we're not superhuman. We can only manage to do so much. So just giving you an overview of why you might be feeling fatigued and stressed right now, they're all completely normal things. And you need to sort of take the pressure off you to think, oh, I've got to be doing this thing. Yes, ideally you want to be strength training. Yes, ideally you want to be watching what you're eating, but have a soft approach to it. So rather than seeing it's this big thing that you have to suddenly incorporate and your whole life is going to change and you're going to become a completely different individual, see it as just incorporating small steps, and small steps that are going to lead to you being able to take greater commitment in the long run, when you feel more energized, when you feel more ready for it. So going back to that sort of weight gain around the middle, and the reason that I wanted to explain why the adrenal glands, our stress hormones, play such a vital role in that weight gain, is that cortisol has a catabolic effect on our muscles and our bones. It breaks down the larger muscles in our body. So you'll find that a lot of menopausal women, they are losing the sort of structure to their bums and their thighs, but it's all shifting up. It's pretty much the only thing that goes upwards as we get older is our weight, which is not great. So you get skinny bum, skinny legs, but a bigger belly. Another reason for that is we have 4 times the amount of cortisol receptors around our belly than we do in any other part of our body. So stress, cortisol goes on, fat on our belly, as well as breaking down the muscles in our bodies. which is why I always bang on about strength training, because it helps you maintain those muscles, which are obviously key for posture, key for preventing falling over, key for mobility and stability as we get older. So that is one of the issues. The other issue is the fact that as our estrogen levels fall, our digestive system slows down. So the motility, as food passes through the digestive system, that actually slows down. That can lead to more bloating. So sometimes the fat might be on the outside, sort of the beneath the skin, and other times it could be visceral fat, particularly if you're drinking a lot of alcohol, if you're eating a lot of processed foods, that is likely to be visceral fat. That is not the good fat. You don't really want too much of that. And also the fact that the cortisol is increasing your belly fat, but the fact that your muscle mass is decreasing. So unless you're actively building your muscles, you are going to burn less fat during the course of the day, which means that the foods that you're eating, you're not going to be burning up as many calories from those foods. Also, I don't know if you've noticed, I mean, when I grew up, our plates were significantly smaller than they are now. They're huge now. They're like blooming, I don't know, hovercrafts. They're massive compared to how they used to be. And as our plates get bigger, we sort of have this feeling that we should fill them, and our portion sizes have got bigger. So while we're actually using up less energy, we continue to eat more and more and more. And I think a lot of us have got used to the fact that, when television meals arrived, we've got used to eating without really paying much attention to what we're eating. We sort of gorge or graze, and we've eaten it. We might be watching our favorite TV series. We might be watching something on the computer. We might be listening to something. Very rarely do any of us sit down and either just talk. Oh my God, I mean, wow, that's quite a novel idea, isn't it? To sit around a table and actually have a conversation. Or if you're by yourself, to literally just sit and eat your food, maybe some gentle music wafting by. But how often do you honestly sit down and eat a meal, appreciating the textures and the flavors, and being aware of when you're starting to feel full? I don't know about you, I was brought up in the day where if you had to finish your plate before you got down off the table, even if you hated it. I remember being stuck at the flipping table once, and my mum would not let me get down. She's an amazing mother, but I wanted to go to my weekly disco with my brand new jumbo cord dungarees, which I thought I looked really cool in. And I had to sit and eat the whole flipping meal before I was allowed to get down and go to the disco, and I know I'll never forget that. It scarred me for life. But, a lot of us grew up with that, and we still do it. I still catch myself. I'm better at it now, but I still have that urge to finish what's on my plate because it just tidies it up. Whereas why not just recognize when you're full and put the rest in the fridge for the lunch tomorrow, or, add it to your meal the next night. So it's really being more mindful around what we're eating, and eating with a view to stopping when you're full, bearing in mind you've still got food going down that's still got to get to your stomach. So even if you're starting to feel full now, there's still food going down there that will make you feel fuller. Understanding that your digestion is slowing down, so you may be getting more bloating. You'll also find that you might be having more food sensitivities as you go through menopause. That is, I think it's well worth tracking your food. I recommend to everyone, track your food for a couple of weeks, food and drink, and then you'll see a pattern of what works for you and what doesn't work for you. And then you can exclude the things that don't work, and you can all find better replacements. But it just gives you, it just gives you knowledge of what's working for your body. And I think it's really important that we sit in the driver's seat. I mean, it's our body. So we really want to be the ones that are understanding our body the best. And you can do that by tracking your food and drink and just seeing what works, better for you and what doesn't work so well for you. Also, the fluctuating hormones, you'll find that might be having a negative impact on your sleep. And when we sleep badly, it does make us reach for the sweeter things the next day. We just have more cravings. Also, with fluctuating hormones, again, that can add to the cravings that you might be feeling through the course of the day. that is a vicious cycle because it's, you know, you sleep badly, so you wake up, your brain is thinking, give me the starchy carbs, give me the sandwich and the chocolate and the crisps and that sort of thing, give me that lovely piece of lemon drizzle cake that I keep looking at and salivating over. And yes, of course, you're not a remote control animal. Somebody's not going, God, I'm going to make her eat the lemon drizzle cake. But, you know, it's almost like we act like that. When I'm faced with that situation, I can even see the lemon drizzle cake in the shop that I nearly bought the other day. It's still in my head. But it's just like I decided I didn't need it. After I'd had it, my teeth would have felt it's full of rubbish. Yes, I'd have had a really short-term gain enjoying it, but nothing really. And often they're a bit more disappointing than you think they're going to be. And even if they're amazing, it's still like, do I really need that? And so I would really ask yourself to be really aware of enjoying your food, but also before you're eating certain foods, do you actually really want it? Because it can, the analogy I use is either it can go in the bin or stay on the cake plate, or it can go around my middle. Where do I want it? I would rather have it in the bin or on the cake plate. I really don't want it sitting around my middle. And when you have the cake or you do succumb, and yes, of course, we all want our treats every now and again. I think that's fine. But when you do succumb, that is going to set off a chemical reaction in your body. It's going to increase your stress hormones. When your cortisol levels rise, so does your insulin, which is your fat storing hormone. So it does set up a negative cycle. And because you put your body into nutritional stress again, you're likely to have more cravings. And it goes round and round and round and round. You can get stuck in this sort of never-ending loop before you really realize that actually you are in control. And just for, you know, a day or two, instead of having the cake or the biscuits, choose an apple, choose a carrot, choose a bell pepper if you like bell peppers. Somebody said, I don't know, it was somebody on Instagram said, oh, you know, making a really valid point. You know, none of us ever gorge on things like an apple. You know, once you've had one apple, do you want a second? I fall into that category. I love apples. I love fruit. I love vegetables. I understand what they were saying. Yeah, it's so tempting to eat more than one biscuit or eat like the whole pack of crisps. But we don't have to. We can just have one or two and then put the packet back. I think there's this belief that if you eat it quickly, it doesn't really count. Unfortunately, it does. So just be mindful of that. Just bring some mindful awareness around what you're eating and just give yourself time to think, okay, do I really want that around my middle? My middle, not my boob. Do I really want that around my middle? And it allows you to step back and think, maybe I don't. I might choose something healthier. So my next thing is prioritize sleep as much as you can, because that, like I said, does affect your satiety hormones. But sleep is the building block, it's the foundation of everything. It is so important. And you might need to get strict with yourself for a while. I have been really strict to myself on sleep until about the last 10 days, and I've let it slip a bit, and I can notice the difference. I've got a bit more bloating. I've got a bit more fluff around the middle. I was doing really well. I've been eating later at night. I've been going to bed later at night. My sleep hasn't been so good, and I feel sluggish. And that's all my fault. I just thought my little inner rebel came out and decided I was going to become a bit more of a party queen again. Not that I've really been partying, but, you know, in my very interesting life, going to bed a bit later is party these days. And I need to get back into some discipline because it makes me feel a lot better. I'm much more productive during the day. I'm more focused. I have more energy, and it's down to me. It'll be down to you as well. Turn off the television earlier. Dim your lights before you go to bed. Do not look at screens. Get rid of your computer screens at least an hour before bedtime. I'm really strict on that. I used to work quite late. I love what I do, and it's really tempting to think, oh, I could just spend a couple of hours now and sort of knock this out of the way. But then it really impacts your sleep. It's not worth it. You're better off to go to bed early and get up early the next day and crack on that way. So front load your day rather than heavy load it at the end of the day, because screens mess up your sleep like crazy. And then ideally, if you can, get out for a short walk after dinner, after your evening meal. It's going to distract you. It's sort of cuts the end of your eating. So you're not going to sit there thinking, oh, now shall I have some dessert? Or, oh, I really feel like some chocolates. Or, oh, I've really got a craving for something sweet. Just get your washing up done and then go out for a walk. It's a lovely, lovely way of sort of almost smoothing your feathers after the end of the day. And it puts you into a really nice sort of slumberous state of mind. And it sets you up for a good night's sleep a lot more effectively than if you've eaten, you clear up, and then you sit watching the television and you're thinking, oh, I might just have a couple of chocolates. It's just a much easier way of, a much more functional way of ending your day. And you don't have to do it all the time, but it works incredibly well if you can do. And again, please remember that it's down to you to make these choices. This is why some people say, oh, I just can't, I don't know why I'm putting on all this weight. And we go through their day in a lot of detail. There is so much that we control. And there is so much that we can do to make our experience through the menopause better if we choose to. So also know that diet, when I talk about diet, I talk about healthy eating. I'm now talking about restrictive dieting. The amount of people that I talk to who say, oh, I'm eating less and I'm still putting on weight. That is a stressor to your body. You need to be eating plentiful, nutritious food. Focus on eating more protein. We need more protein as we go through the menopause. Add more vegetables to your food, whether you like them or not, puree them, somehow get them into your food. You need the vegetables. And if you don't like them, have a chat to your inner child and somehow tell her that, or him, that you need to, him, that would be interesting, him and the menopause. But you could be a man watching this, supporting your wife or your significant other lady in your life. So make sure, if you're the one doing the food, get some vegetables into it. They are incredibly important for us. I've just started wild foraging. I went on a foraging course with my daughter. It was amazing. And we're lucky enough to have a beach outside our house. So now most days I take the dogs for a walk down on the beach and I take a little bag and I forage for the seaweed and the various plants that live there. So we're having like fresh foraged food every day, and it's different. And it's exciting. So be aware that you might think, well, I can't afford all the vegetables from the supermarket. There is so much out of your back door that's at the fingertips. Just like Google wild forage foods that I can eat from home type thing. There is a lot out there, and you don't need to have like massive amounts. Just little bits of extra added consistently will make a big difference. And if you live near a beach, there's a wealth of stuff. Pretty much every seaweed, particularly in the UK, that we have, so long as you're not in an area where they've got like an algae bloom, you're good to go with seaweed. So message me if you want some more information on that, because I will point you in the direction of the guy whose foraging course he went on. He's got a really informative blog, and I'm happy to share the stuff that the notes that I've made and some of the recipes that I've made as well. Before bedtime, I always have a sleepy tea, sort of chamomile based tea. That I think psychologically is my cutoff from the busy day. I'm in bed, I've got my sleepy tea, I'm reading my book, got my little nightcap on, but it does make a big difference. Drink plenty of water. Dehydration, again, is a stressor to the body. You need to be drinking lots of water purely also to keep you detoxed. If a body that is holding on to toxins will not shed weight. I've talked about eating plentifully, but of the right sort of stuff. And then just beware that if you are having sometimes if you're still getting heavy periods, you might be anemic. There are a couple of things that I would say, just maybe go and check with your doctor as well. So first of all, what are your iron levels like in your blood? If you're having heavy periods, are you anemic? That could be making you feel incredibly tired. Also, low thyroid can be similar to the perimenopausal symptoms. So you might be getting the weight gain, you might be having the fatigue, the sluggishness, the brain fog. The thing that tends to differentiate thyroid to perimenopause is if it's thyroid, you are likely to have a sort of a constant feeling of chill in your core. You're constantly feeling cold. So it's not like a hot flush and then you feel cold afterwards. That's perimenopause. It's if you are consistently feeling really cold in your core, that can be a sign of low thyroid. Also, the other way is to have a look here at the V in this section. When you're swallowing, is it looking bloated? because when the thyroid's not working properly, this area here can swell up. That's where our thyroid gland is. So have a look at that. If you're thinking, oh no, actually I am a bit swollen here, it could well be your thyroid, and that's something that the doctor can easily check. Checking menopausal hormones is really hard because particularly perimenopausal, they're fluctuating so much of the time. So it's a really difficult one to actually get a grip on. You'd need to be going in for like consecutive tests to see if your hormones are so erratic. So it's not really a feasible option. But certainly for anemia and for thyroid, they can check you to see if that's having a negative impact on how you're feeling. So what I would suggest you do, if you are really stuck in that cycle of just fatigue and sluggishness, and you almost feel like you're stuck in this, like there's a heavy invisible cloak over the top of you, start with small things. Introduce a little bit more vegetables into your diet, your healthy, what you eat. Drink more water, prioritize your sleep. And if you're not yet doing strength training, get out and do regular walking. Promise, this is for you. This is, if you want to stay feeling as you're feeling, that's fine. But if you do want to get better, if you do want to feel more energized and more productive, you will have to make a few changes, and they are not massive changes. I can absolutely promise you that when you start to make a few key changes, they compound and you will start to feel flipping amazing. You will have the energy, even on days when you're feeling, I feel sluggish today, but I've still done my workout. I'm still highly productive. I'm just not, I just don't feel crystal clear. I think I'm fighting a cold in actual fact. But it's when I changed what I was doing with my lifestyle, my experience of the perimenopause at the time completely changed. I don't struggle with the belly fat. I don't struggle with the failing energy anymore. I don't struggle with my sleep, but it's been down to me to make those changes. And I highly encourage you to make those changes if you're not doing so already. What I'm going to do is drop beneath this, I will put a link to a protein guide that I put together for the ladies in my body confidence group, and for me as well. I realized I was not eating enough protein, and our needs for protein go up through the menopause. So you're more than welcome to have that. I've also got, I'll drop a link to Healthy Sleeping Habits ebook that I wrote a little while back. And also a link if you are thinking, right, I want to get started with my health and my wellness. It's called Get My Sparkle Back. It's a form that people fill in who want to learn more about my body confidence group. You're not committing to anything. It's just purely a way of me finding out what your goals are, what your struggles are, so that I can get back in touch with you and give you really helpful advice. So I will leave those links beneath this. Click them if you want to. Don't if you don't. If you found this helpful, please leave a comment below, give me a thumbs up, and make sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't done already, so that you don't miss out on a future episode. And if you've got anything that you want me to cover in a future episode, just message me. Find me on Instagram, because messaging on YouTube is still really like I'm at Kate Hartley UK on Instagram. Hop across there, find me there. If you click the link in my bio in my Instagram profile, go to the folder that has free resources. There's loads of stuff there that will help you as well. So anyway, I hope that what I've shared has been helpful for you today. Take action. You will not regret it at all. Talk to you soon. Thank you for your company.